Hi, I'm Anna Olson and welcome to Oh Yum! This YouTube channel is the place to be for great recipes and a warm and welcoming community of food lovers and home cooks. Now, I know you're ready to learn something new. This is really something special, an appetizer that is actually a square. So think dessert square? This is a savory square, my sausage dressing squares. The key words to remember with this recipe, bacon weave. So, just with those two words, bacon weave, you need to subscribe to this Oh Yum channel and don't forget to tap that notification bell so you get brand new recipes whenever they come out. So to start off this sausage dressing square recipe, I start by sauteing some onion and celery. So I've got one onion and I've got one stalk of celery. I diced it finely because these are dainty little squares once I cut them up. And I just saute them in a little oil until the onions are translucent. Now don't worry about the measurements. You don't have to write things down because you'll see right below is the recipe in the description. So now that my onions are translucent, and it really takes about 5 minutes, I'll just take this off the heat to cool a little bit. I've got my square pan, just a regular baking pan, the same type you would use if you were making dessert squares. And I spray it, and I want to line it with parchment paper just like I would a dessert square. That way it's easy to pull out and portion up. So here's a quick little tip for lining your pan easily. I take my square of parchment and I fold it in half, and then I fold it into quarters, almost like a napkin. Then with scissors or a knife, you want to cut diagonally through the corners like so. So that when you open it up and then drop it into your pan, those corners just fold and overlap into place. I've had time now for my onions and celery to cool a little bit, but let's chat about the sausage. When I make sausage dressing squares as an appetizer, I like to use hot Italian sausage, but whatever is your preferred flavor, honey garlic, a bratwurst, so long as it's a fresh sausage, you're good to go. And all it takes is a pound out of the casing. So however you buy it, just make sure you have a pound out of the casing. Now let's talk about the add-in ingredients. First, the foundation ingredients. Dry breadcrumbs, plain, because the seasoning is already in the sausage. And I add 2 eggs to this recipe. For a little flavor, 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, a little bit of celery salt. It's more for that dressing flavor, that combination of the fresh celery and the celery salt, some chopped Italian parsley for color, and then I find what really gives the squares themselves the character, before the bacon weave of course, is the combination of dried cranberries and pistachio. Now that my celery and onions have had a chance to cool, I'll add them in on top. And yes, if you want to be dainty, you can use a spoon to mix this up, but really, I just like to get right in there. You do it in a fraction of the time. Whenever I'm mixing something raw, I do try and keep one hand clean, so I just mix with one hand. Really get those breadcrumbs and eggs blended in there. You'll feel it softening as you go. Grab your pan. And don't worry, I haven't forgotten about the bacon weave. I saved the best for last. Put the dressing into my parchment lined pan. And then you want to press it so that it is as level as possible. And you can really see the profile of the cranberries and the pistachio and all the seasonings in there. Now you may be wondering, why do I call this a sausage dressing square and not a sausage stuffing square? And you can use this as a stuffing if you want, but technically a stuffing has to be stuffed inside something. If you bake a stuffing recipe in a pan, that's when you call it a dressing. So now it's time for the magic moment, the bacon weave. So this lattice top of bacon sits on top of the squares so that every delectable bite has this crosshatch of bacon. Can it get any better? So what you want to do is you lay 6 to 7 slices, it really depends on the thickness of your bacon, in one direction, one piece after another. And of course, sometimes bacon has a thick side and a thinner side, so you can alternate Now, to get the weave, what you want to do is peel back about 2 inches, alternating slices of bacon. So every other slice, like so. Then you drop in your horizontal slice of bacon. And you place these pieces back over. Now you have to work from the other side and peel back the opposing slices of bacon. So I'm building from right to left. You may want to go this way. And you keep layering these slices. I'll maybe take a moment now and be quiet and let you just absorb the bacon beauty. Okay, this is now ready for the oven, which I've preheated to 350, and you want to give this 25 to 30 minutes. You'll see that the bacon half crisps up, but just think, it's bacon basting that sausage dressing underneath. And you do want to check the doneness by using a thermometer. The meat should be cooked to 165, then you know it's ready to pull out and let it cool a little bit. Oh look, a turkey. And here is that beautiful bacon weave. Oh yeah, and the sausage dressing squares underneath. Baked, and then I let it cool fully before I slice it. And in fact, it's an ideal make ahead because you can make this as is, freeze it as is, and then pull it out whenever you need it, cut it into the squares. And quite honestly, the squares cut better once they've been chilled. So that's why I let this cool. So I pop it right out of the pan onto my cutting board. I'll take away the paper. You can serve the squares warm or at room temperature, but you want to pre-portion them. And to warm them, then I just put them on a baking tray and pop them in the oven for a couple minutes to warm through. And then that bacon, well, it crisps up even more. For this recipe, I find I get 36 squares. So think how long it would take for you to decorate, assemble 36 of anything, a crostini, a profiterole, any little sort of one-bite wonder. Meanwhile, baking it in a square pan like this and simply cutting it into portions is just so easy, and it looks gorgeous. And look, the top of each square showcases all that work you did with the bacon weave, except it wasn't really a lot of work, was it? So there you have it, a great way to start a cocktail party or to have to pass around before you serve the big holiday feast. My sausage dressing squares with the bacon weave. That was fun to make, and that is just the starter, literally the starter. I've got a whole holiday feast, so you want to make sure you check back because I've got more recipes coming your way. But first, I deserve a bit of a bacon weave.